Alright, this is going to be some practice problems. I don't think this is what you have on your paper. If it is, then guess what? It makes it nice and easy for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we need to think about solving or creating equations based on word problems. Only these are a little bit tougher than what you've had so far. In the past, it's been creating an equation. This time, you're going to actually create some that you have to show the distributive property on. All right. So let's think about this. 2 times the difference of a number decreased by 5 is 14. What is the number? All right. Well, the first thing I'm going to read is it says 2 times the difference of. Well, that tells me it's going to be 2 times, and I'm going to do something inside. The difference of a number decreased by 5. Okay, so x minus 5, and this equals 14. Okay, so it equals 14. Now I can simply solve it, which is what it tells me to do here, is solve and justify. I can write this as 2x minus 10 equals 14. Add 10, and I get 2x equals 24. Divide by 2, and I get x equals 12. All right, so I can try to justify it, which is by putting it in there, and that's really how I want you guys to get used to doing it. It's just a check. All right, if I plug this back into the number, and I'm going to just use this space over here, it is 2 times 12 minus 5 equals 14. So 12 minus 5 is 7, since we are going to use PERMDAS at this point. And I have 2 times 7 equals 14. And that becomes 14 equals 14. We've justified it. Okay? Let's take a look at our next one. Okay? Because I just want to do a few of these with you and see where we go. 5 times the difference of a number subtracted from 10 is 40. What is the number? Let's think about this. 5 times the difference, so I'm going to have a 5, and then it says times the difference of a number subtracted from 10. That means I have 10 subtract a number, and 5 times the difference of that, of 10 subtract that number, equals 40. Alright? Well, I can already tell you what it is, and I don't want you guys getting used to doing that. I want you to actually solve it algebraically. One way to do it is we use the distributive property, and we get 50 minus 5x, because it's 5 times 10 and 5 times the negative x, and this equals 40. Okay? Well, we can do this one of two ways. For those of you that aren't sure, you can go ahead and add 50. Add 50, both sides, and I get negative 5x. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to subtract 50. We have to subtract 50, right? Because we already have a positive 50. Hopefully you caught that before I showed it to you. Okay, so we have to subtract 50 from both sides. And I get negative 5x equals negative 10. Well, now what I want to do is I want to divide by negative 5. And if I divide this by negative 5, these cancel out, and I get x equals negative 2. All right, let's see if that works. Okay. I was expecting another number. Oh, yes, negative 10 divided by 5. That's positive. That's positive. Okay, so here we go. Now, like I said, negatives will bother you forever. You have to pay attention. Alright, so see what happens. Alright, hopefully you didn't get too confused on that, but I was already expecting a positive 2, because 10 minus 2 times 5 does equal 40. Okay, I already had that in my mind, but let's see. We just wanted to see what happened. Okay, so there's your justification for it. Let's go ahead and erase everything. And if you want to try 5 first, I'm going to wait and pause here for just a second. Go ahead and hit pause. All right, now that you're back, go ahead and say, let's see, 4 times the sum of 3 times a number increased by 2 is equal to 3 times the difference of 2 times the number decreased by 8. What is the number? Oh, mercy. Okay, what we are doing right now is we're basically setting up an expression on each side. Remember how I also showed you a video on y equals one equation and y equals another equation? Basically, they are setting up the equation the same. Take your time in doing these. It takes practice. Okay? It says 4 times the sum of a number. All right, so I'm going to go over here, and let's try a different color. 4 times the sum of a number, which means I'm going to add, increased by 2. So I'm going to go x plus 2 is equal to 3 times the difference. 3 times the difference of 2 times the number decreased by 8. If you noticed how I went through this, and let's make sure, 4 times the sum of 3 times number, okay, so what did I miss? What did I miss there? I missed right here that this should have been 4 times the sum of 3 times the number, okay? Hopefully you caught that when we were going through it, okay? So it is 4 times 3, the sum of 3 times the number, increased by 2, okay? The increased means add, and I might have to put that out there for a list of all these words that you need to understand, all right? And we noticed when we said is equal to, that is our key to do the other side. Okay, equal to 3 times the difference of 2 times the number decreased by 8. What is the number? All right, well, let's just solve it. Let's write it up here. I always like to rewrite equations. Hopefully you guys are in the habit of that. Okay, if not, get there. You will need to be, because it's transferring it from a book to your paper. 2x minus 8. Now when I solve this, I'm using distributive property. I get 12x plus 8 equals 3 times 2x is 6x minus 24. I'm going to subtract 6x, and now we're back to doing everything like we have done in the past. Minus 6x, and these cancel out, and I get 6x plus 8 equals negative 24. And I subtract 8, and I get 6x equals negative 32. Wow, did I do things right? Let's find out. If I divide by 6, x equals negative, and it's 32 over 6, but let's see here, 32 over 6, both are divisible by 2. Let's see, that gives me 16 over 3, negative 16 over 3. Let me pause for a moment, make sure I told you right, otherwise I'm going to have to redo this whole video. Alright, everything I read on there was exactly that. So, we do not need to be afraid of fractions. We can have them. We can work them. If you guys got something different, send me an Edmodo. Okay? And I always like if students are paying attention and can find errors in what I'm doing. I am just human like the rest of you. And we learn from our mistakes. Alright? That's what my whole class is about. So let's see. Let's see if we can do number 6. So I'm going to erase everything again and go to number 6. It says a box can, if you want to pause and read it yourself and come back. Okay, now that we're back, I'm going to read through it because I always like to read through it every time I get ready to start a problem. A box contains red and blue chips. There are 2 more blue chips than there are red chips. Alright, so that means there are 2 more blue chips. So let's say blue plus 2 equals red. Okay, that's how we read that. If the number of red chips is tripled and the number of blue chips is doubled, there will be an equal number of red and blue chips. So if we have 3R, R equals 2 blue. Didn't say anything with the 2. Okay. How many blue chips does the original box contain? Well, here's where we have substitution. And I know that we had this on that we've talked about it slightly. We can do the same thing here and say, well, I want to get down to one variable. Well, I have an r all by itself, right? And so what I can do is every place I see that, I can replace it down here in the lower one. So I go 2b equals 3 times the quantity of b plus 2. Because remember, I'm multiplying here. So I have to be multiplying here. And I have this. Now I have 2b equals 3b plus 6. Alright? And this isn't looking good for the home team. Let's find out if I did it right. There are 2 more blue chips than the red chips. If the number of red chips is tripled and the number of blue chips is doubled, there will be an equal number of red and blue chips. Well, let's find out. I'm going to add... That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Did I do something wrong? It says... Oh, that's what I did. Okay. Alright, I read it wrong. Let's see here. Let's erase it and start all over. Best thing to do. Okay, a box contains red and blue chips. There are 2 more blue chips than there are red chips. That means it is blue equals red plus 2. Okay, because there's 2 more blue chips than there are red. So if I add 2 chips to the red, I would have equal. Then it says if I double, or if I triple the red, and I double the blue, I'll have an equal number. So now I am going to actually substitute in for B, and I'm going to go 2 times the quantity, R plus 2, okay, equals 3R. So I have 2R, that's 2R, plus 4, equals 3R. Now that's looking better. Now that's looking better. All right, so if I subtract 2R, I get, and I'm going to flip this whole equation at one shot, okay? And you have to understand what you're doing with that, because when we get to the next section, you need to understand what's going on when you flip, okay? So I'm going to subtract it, so this gives me R equals 4. Well, if R equals 4, then B, because it wants to know how many blue chips has to be, if I take that 4 and plug it back up here, 4 plus 2 is 6, the answer is B, for blue. Okay, so take this and use it on the homework I sent home. If you have any questions, or on the homework that I'm going to attach, actually, if you have any questions, go ahead and moto me.